Your financial mindset impacts your decision. Let me rewind and go back to 1992. I was working for Telkom at that stage. I'm a qualified fitter. Worked for them for, I think, 12, 13 years. And a friend approached me and says, Ron, I think you can be a great insurance agent. I says, you think so? I'm dyslexic. I'm ADD. I mean, I don't know anything about finance. He says, yeah, but you're an out-of-the-box thinker. He says, I'll give it a go. So anyway, I worked with him part-time. I go to work in my overalls, on the tools, come back, and then get home, dress smart, and I went door knocking. And I knocked on every door in every block of flats in Amanzimtoti. And I realized, this is not for me. It's not working. And I realized I'm going to give it one more go. And I went to this big block of flats. I can't remember which block it was. And I knocked on the door. And I said to this person, do you want insurance? Because I never had the guidance of people telling me how to create a conversation. And this big Dutchman, head taller than me, said to me, no, and he slams the door in my face. And I says, he's not going to get away with this. I knocked on the door again, and this time I put my foot in the door. If he wants to moor me, he must moor me. But I'm going to walk away with the insurance policy. I said, sorry, sir. I just looked before you closed the door. I looked at that lounge suite of yours. Is that a Gama Gama lounge suite? And he said to me, yes. He says, why are you asking? I says, well, I was always looking for a Gama Gama lounge suite. I had to think quick on my feet. He says, would you like to come sit in it? I said, yes. He says, it's nice and comfy, and I think my wife really will enjoy it. He said, would you like a cup of coffee? I says, that would be great. Having a cup of coffee, I saw two photos of his two boys. One playing cricket and one playing rugby. I says, you must be so proud of your boys being so sporty. And he said, hey, they made first team. And one's got elected to join the Sharks Academy to play rugby. I says, wow, awesome. He says, have you ever thought of them going to university to have some form of educational plan? He says, no, not really. Do you do those things? I said, yes. And that's how the conversation started. It's the decision you make at that stage to look at that opportunity. Sometimes you have to knock on doors and they don't open up. Sometimes doors close in your face. But perseverance will pay. But the key to this is to have that financial mindset is discipline. But here comes the problem. Now that I've figured out how to create communication and finding out what people's pain is, I started to generate income. And in the insurance business, it becomes open checkbook. Whatever you sell, you earn. The more you sell, the more you earn. It wasn't long, I brought more people into my business. all I saw was money. It wasn't long. Then I realized that it's not about earning, but to pay back of the policies that's going to lapse. Because I was trying to write every Dick, Tom, and Harry without having the mindset of the people who I can work with, who I can build a relationship with, instead of having that hit and run approach. At the end of the day, after 2 or 3 years in the financial literacy, in the insurance business, I was in for nearly 200,000 Rand of lapses. I then realized I have to think smarter, look at my clients in a different way, and look at quality and make sure I work to a strict budget to get myself out of this. The first thing I've done is I analyzed my market, who I'm going to work with. What do I need to pay back my lapses of the one company? Luckily, my other company, which I had a contract with, was still clean. And I used that commissions to pay off the lapses on this one. That's when I realized when it comes to a mindset of being goal-driven, discipline, and understanding how to work with budgets, you can come out of any situation. Doesn't matter how many doors close in your face. Doesn't matter how many doors you knock on. All you have to do is be persistent and communicate with the people that can help you grow. The sad part, what I learned, the people I brought into my business who caused most of the problems turn your back on me. That's why when you go into business, make sure you choose the right partner. Make sure that you work with the right people. Make sure that you work with the right clients. All you have to do is to have the right financial mindset that will impact your decision in your future. Tell me your story, what you can do differently in your business, or how you're going to save to your financial goal. Be awesome and be great.